A View from the Bridge, a play in 2 acts, written by Arthur Miller, read for you by Weirdo Fries. Act 1. It was at this time that he first came to me. I had represented his father in an accident case some years before, and I was acquainted with the family in a casual way. I remember him now as he's walked through my doorway. Enter Eddie, down right ramp. His eyes were like tunnels. My first thought was that he had committed a crime. Eddie sits beside the desk, cap in hand, looking out. But soon, I saw it was only a passion that had moved into his body like a stranger. Alfieri pauses, looks down at his desk, then to Eddie, as though he were continuing in conversation with him. I don't quite understand what I can do for you. Is there a question of law somewhere? That's what I want to ask you. Because there's nothing illegal about a girl falling in love with an immigrant. Yeah. But what about if the only reason for it is to get his papers? First of all, you don't know that. I see it in his eyes. He's laughing at her. He's laughing at me. Eddie, I'm a lawyer. I can only deal with what's probable. Understand that, don't you? Can you prove that? I know what's in his mind, Mr. Alfieri. Eddie, even if you could prove that, listen to me for a minute. My father always said you was a smart man. I want you to listen to me. I'm only a lawyer, Eddie. Will you listen a minute? I'm talking about the law. Let me just bring out what I mean. A man, which he comes into the country illegal, don't it stand to reason he's going to take every penny and put it in the sock? Because they don't know from one day to the other, right? All right. He's spending. Records he buys now. Shoes, jackets. You understand me? This guy ain't worried. This guy's here. So it must be that he's got it all laid out in his mind already. He's staying, right? Well, what about it? All right. He glances at Alfieri and down at the floor. I'm talking to you confidential, ain't I? Certainly. I mean, it don't go no place but here, because I don't like to say this, but about nobody. With my wife, I didn't exactly say this. What is it? Takes a breath and glances briefly over each shoulder. The guy ain't right, Mr. Alfieri. What do you mean? I mean, he ain't right. I don't get you. Eddie shifts to another position in the chair. Did you ever get a look at him? Not that I know of. No. He's a blonde guy. Like platinum. You know what? You know what I mean? No. I mean, if you look close, the paper fast, you could blow him over. Well, that doesn't mean... Wait a minute. I'm telling you something. He sings. See? Which is... I mean, it's all right. But sometimes he hits a note. See? I turn around. I mean, high. You know what I mean? Well, that's a tenor. I know a tenor, Mr. Alfieri. This ain't no tenor. I mean, if you came in the house and you didn't know who was singing, you wouldn't be looking for him, you'd be looking for her. Yes, but that's not. I'm telling you something. Wait a minute. Please, Mr. Alfieri, I'm trying to bring out my thoughts here. A couple of nights ago, my niece brings out a dress, which is too small for her, because she shot up like a light this year. He takes the dress, lays it on the table, cuts it up. 1, 2, 3. He makes a new dress. I mean, he looks so sweet there, like an angel. You could kiss him. He was so sweet. Now look, Eddie, Mr. Alfieri, they're laughing at him on the piers. I'm ashamed. Paper doll, they call him. Blondie now. His brother thinks it's because he's got a sense of humor. See, which he's got. But that ain't what they're laughing. Which they're not going to come out with it because they know he's my relative, which they have to see me if they make a crack, you know? But I know what they're laughing at. And when I think of that guy laying his hands on her, it's eating me out, Mr. Alfieri, because I struggled for that girl. Now he comes in my house and, Eddie, look, I have my own children. I understand you. But the law is very specific. The law does not, with a fuller flow of imagined indignation. You mean to tell me that there's no law that a guy, which ain't right, can go to work and marry a girl and you have no recourse in the law, Eddie? Yeah, but if he ain't right, Mr. Alfieri, you mean to tell me there's nothing you can do? Eddie, believe me. Nothing. Nothing at all. There's only one legal question here. What? The manner in which they entered the country. But I don't think you want to do anything about that, do you? You mean, well, they entered illegally. Oh, Jesus, no, I wouldn't do nothing about that. All right, then let me talk now, eh? Mr. Alfieri, I can't believe what you're telling me. There must be some kind of law, which, Eddie, I want to tell you. I want you to listen to me. You know, sometimes God mixes up the people. We all love somebody, the wife, the kids. Every man's got somebody that he loves, eh? But sometimes there's too much, you know? There's too much, and it goes where it mustn't. A man works hard. He brings up a child. Sometimes it's a niece. Sometimes even a daughter. And he never realized it, but through the years, there's too much love for the daughter, and there's too much love for the niece. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Sardonically. What do you mean? I shouldn't look out for her good? Yes. But these things have to end, Eddie. That's all. The child has to grow up and go away, and the man has to learn to forget. Because after all, Eddie, what other way can it end? Let her go. That is my advice. You did your job. Now it is her life. Wish her luck and let her go. Will you do that? Because there's no law, Eddie. Make up your mind to it. The law is not interested in this. You mean to tell me, even if it's a punk, there's nothing you can do? Eddie stands. Well, all right. Thanks. Thanks very much. What are you going to do? Eddie with a helpless but ironic gesture. What can I do? I'm a patsy. What can a patsy do? I worked like a dog 20 years so a punk could have her. So that's what I've done. In the worst times, when there wasn't a ship coming in the harbor, I didn't stand around looking for relief. I hustled. When there was an empty piers in Brooklyn, I went to Hoboken, Staten Island, the West Side, Jersey, all over because I made a promise I took out of my own mouth to give to her. I took out my wife's mouth. I walked hungry plenty days in the city. It begins to break through. And now I gotta sit in my own house and look at a son of a punk like that. Well, she came out of nowhere. Give him my house to sleep. I take the blankets off my bed and he takes and puts his filthy, dirty hands on her like a goddamn thief. But Eddie, she's a woman now. He's stealing from me. She wants to get married, Eddie. She can't marry you, can she? Seriously, what are you talking about? Marry me. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Pause. I gave you my advice, Eddie. That's it. Eddie gathers himself. A pause. Well, thanks. Thanks very much. It's breaking my heart. You know, I understand. Put it out of your mind. Can you do that? He feels the threat of sobs, and with a helpless wave, I'll see you around. He goes up, writes, ramp. Alfieri sits on desk. There are times when you want to spread an alarm, but nothing has happened. I knew then and there, I could have finished the whole story that afternoon. It wasn't as though there was a mystery to unravel. I could see every step coming, step after step, like a dark figure walking down a hall toward a certain door. I knew where he was heading for. I knew where he was going to end. And I sat here many afternoons asking myself why, being an intelligent man, I was so powerless to stop it. I even went to a certain old lady in the neighborhood, a very wise old woman, and I told her, and she only nodded and said, "Pray for him." So I waited here,